friends, to GHK Radio Season 3, Episode 4.
Hello, let's go.
Yay, we're here with trials and tribulations for each of us along the way. We still managed to gather.
It has been a morning.
It's been a day.
Yup, I might have broken my foot.
Oh, don't blame
You can't blame
her.
this on me. You're the one who's doing this to yourself, sir.
Just like the unfried fried rice.
Yep. See, Kai, when he doesn't get bullied, he sets himself up so that he has reason to be bullied. This is how he goes about his daily life.
Yes,
She gave me a dirty look that one time and it broke my foot.
Yep, see, there he is digging his own hole. It's just like, look how sad I am. Here, throw dirt on me.
I am pain, I am suffering.
Kai needs to find new sources of suffering just to keep him going. Oh my goodness. Oh, also happy, I think maybe for the last time, fall back. Happy time change.
Happy, they did not change the time anymore, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure this is the last one.
This was the one that I like though, because you get more sleep.
You get an extra hour.
Yes, this is the extra hour one.
I just went through changing the clocks and like the cars and stuff because those are like more complex than the ones on the wall. And I'm just like, ooh boy, I can't wait not to do this again.
Yeah, no, I don't change. I just have a heart attack every time I see the stove, and I'm like, oh god,
I'm late.
Like, oh, never mind, it's okay.
I had that this morning because obviously all of our phones, change automatically, but the ones on the walls don't. If you have like a regular, circular clock. So I had to be at work for an unpaid event this morning. And my time, the first like event that I had to be there for was at 9:50. So I got up at 7 and I very slowly, I had my coffee. I said, because I stayed at Mama and Papa Renee's, so I said good morning to my parents and I hung out with them for a bit. So when I finally went to go get ready, I look at the clock and it says 10, and I was like, I was like, how did this happen? And then I realized that it was only 9.
Never mind.
Yeah, it was very scary. It was very, very scary. But it woke me up. Whatever sleepiness was remaining was gone. It was banished to the shadow realm.
I think being around Papa Kai would actually shorten your life. He works 2 cities over, so he's got quite a drive every morning. So he always has to wake up super, super early. He's always up at the crack of dawn. But unlike a normal human being who sets alarms at different intervals, he sets the alarm for 6 o'clock on the dot for every one of his clocks, but then he pushes each clock to a different time.
Wait,
he's got
what?
one clock that's 5 minutes behind. He's got one clock that's 10 minutes behind. He's got one clock that's 15 minutes behind.
Wait, but
I don't know why. He sets them all to 6 o'clock, but in reality, it's 5-minute intervals of alarms.
Well,
So
then
every time I walk into his room, and if you stand in the middle of his room and just spin on your heels, you'll go through a 30-minute interval just looking at the different clocks.
What the heck?
That's
it's been
psychotic.
like that for years. And so in his car, when I was setting the clocks too, I had to make sure that the 3 clocks, the radio, the dashboard, and on the dash cam, they had 5 minutes interval in between each for whatever reason. That's just the way he plays it. I don't know.
That's borderline psychopath. That's not normal.
It's
That's
been
not
like
normal at all.
that for the last 20 whatever years.
What the heck?
I did for my car, I did purposefully put my car's clock about 10 minutes fast. Because when I'm driving places, I want to feel that I got to get there, I need to be timely, but also if I'm running late and I look at the clock and I go, "Oh my god, I'm 10 minutes late." I'm like, "No. I actually have 10 minutes. I'm okay." So for my car, but I that's just my car. I don't do that with every clock I own. That's psychotic. That's not normal. I'm very disturbed.
Right? Because it's when I think, oh, okay, I've got let's say I've got GHK recording with you guys at 2. Let's say I'm late today. I'm sorry for that. But it's so if I'm in my dad's room and we're talking, it's oh shoot, I'm looking at the clock. It's like, oh, it's 2:15. I'm 15 minutes late. But I head back to my desk. It's like, no, it's like 1:50. I'm like 10 minutes early. I'm like, how is there such a gap?
How did I go back in time?
Exactly. It throws me off every single time because every one of his clocks are different too.
That's
So I lose all sense of time once I enter his bedroom.
See, like I could
That's
understand if he
crazy.
sets I could understand if he sets his clock, like all of his clocks, like 10 minutes fast or something, because he just wants to be that kind of person who's like, oh shoot, I gotta get ready, I'm 10 minutes late, only to be on time. You know what I mean? Like some people need that kind of nudge. But
he is a very special existence. There's nothing else like him in this world. His sense of time just operates on a different plane.
That's like Mama Renee though, although she's not that kind of crazy. She's got her own special blend of crazy, but not with time. Not like this.
Mm-hmm.
Not like this.
Speaking of time, though, I think because I'm a little late and DM has to end a little early, we should probably crack on and let DM get a bit of talking in before she got to bounce. She might have to leave early this episode.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to run to a store in the snow.
Uphill both ways. Barefoot.
But
You got bare feet.
yep. Speaking of bears, I went to the zoo last week.
Oh, cute.
Yes,
Yeah.
with a friend.
Yeah, with Nani. I had my friend Nani. She came and
Lovely
stayed with
Nani.
me. But yeah, we went to the zoo, and that just made me think. When you go to the zoo, what's your favorite animal to look at?
Oh shoot.
Oh. It was really funny following your adventures on Twitter, though, because it's like you'd send out a tweet. It's just like, oh gosh, we had so much fun today. We went to zoo. Gosh, we're tired. And then her tweets are like, I'm dying. No.
Let me share a quote with you, which really stuck with me that Nani said as we were walking through the zoo. She said, wow, it's like hiking, but there's a reward.
But there's a reward.
But there's a reward.
But zoos aren't a hike. It's all flat.
Oh no, this zoo actually has some walkways that are up and down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are actually some decent inclines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I very rarely go to the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can count the number of times I've gone to the zoo on one hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my memory, the exhibits that I enjoyed the most were the butterfly house and the reptile house.
Mm-hmm.
I really like snakes.
Mm.
Yeah, those are what I enjoy the most, which is sad because they're so much like larger, better animals. The red pandas are cute. Do you like
but I
those?
think snakes are still really cool to look at too.
I really like the reptile house. The reptile house and the
Yeah.
butterfly house are like
Especially
the
if
two
you're like
things I go for.
camouflaged and you don't quite see them, and then suddenly you see them.
Mm-hmm. I like the meerkats.
Ooh.
Oh, cute!
Because meerkats are usually pretty active if something like gets their attention. And so one will pop its head out and be like, oh, what's this thing? And then like 10 of them will pop their heads out because they're like, oh, you saw a thing? And they're just really cute to watch them run around.
They're like the flamingos of the mammal world. Flamingos? Have you ever seen a flamingo like move in a squad? Like, have you seen those like at the zoo?
Yes.
They are so dorky. They're the dorkiest birds I've ever seen in my life.
Yep, you're just like, wow, how are you function in like the wild?
Yeah, how have you survived and not just died en masse?
Nature let you be.
Yeah,
Why?
exactly.
Why does nature say it's okay for you to be just like vibing, all right?
Yeah. It's
How about you, Kai?
Yeah.
I'm of the same same opinion as Harune in that I don't really go to the zoo very often.
Mhm.
I've been a couple times before because our city made a big deal about the fact that we had pandas for a while.
Yes.
And they're like, oh my gosh, we got pandas. They're only going to be here for a while before we send them back. And then it's like, oh my gosh, the pandas are pregnant. Oh my gosh. I gotta say, watching pandas at the zoo has got to be the most boring thing.
Oh yeah,
Pandas don't do
sleep
much.
a lot.
It's like a wall of tourists that you have to fight through to get to the glass, and when you get there, 80% of the time you're looking at their back. They don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
They're asleep, or they're eating, or they're sitting in their corner like contemplating life. I don't know what they're doing, but there is nothing to see. You get to see like a splash of black on a bit of white. That's all you get.
Yep,
that's great.
Majestic.
So the city loves them, but listen. As a mascot, pandas are great. As a zoo, attraction, they could do better.
They could do better. Put in more effort, pandas, please.
Come on, pandas. Like, step it up. I know that you only subside on a diet that has very low calories, so you're kind of exhausted all of the time because you just don't get enough energy to actually function. But be energetic for Kai. Come on.
Exactly.
People are paying for this.
Me.
Come on now.
Yeah.
I'm here. But yeah, when I was younger, when I spent some time in Hong Kong, I actually went to Ocean Park a lot. Which is kind of like it's kind of like Marine Land. It's kind of like more of a not quite an aquarium, but it's like a water themed zoo, like a lot of aquatic animals.
Ooh.
Okay.
So it's not exactly an aquarium. It's kind of like just the water section of the zoo.
Uh-huh.
Ooh.
So it's like seals, whales, sharks, that, in tanks and stuff. You can go. I really like the penguins.
Penguins.
I'm gonna say at the zoo, what I probably look forward to seeing the most is the penguins.
Penguino.
You like the newts.
I think.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
That one episode of Pingu always scared me. The one with the walrus with the mustache.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the boxing penguin?
What?
Oh, never mind.
No. You're thinking of Ginno.
Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, Pingu is a claymation of a penguin. That's pretty popular in Canada. I don't know how popular it was in the US.
Is that where Newt Newt came from?
Yeah, that's where Newt Newt comes from. It's Pingu the penguin. It's a very beloved,
it's like entirely claymation,
spot frame short claymation series.
Oh.
And there's one episode where he's having a nightmare. He's on his bed. The bed's moving like a horse, and he's just traveling across the Arctic. And a giant clay seal with a big mustache pops out and eats his bed. And that seal scared me as a kid. It was the worst. But
because of the mustache?
No, because of the lack of sleep.
Oh.
Nemurenai.
It was the teeth that got me. The walrus's.
Oh, the tusks. Yeah, and he had like regular teeth, like humanoid-looking teeth.
Oh, that's
too.
That's
he was gross.
Cringy.
He was spooky.
He was, but like penguins. Sometimes they'll have the penguin shows where they're like, they'll swim, they'll jump through hoops, they'll catch fish, da. But even if not, just like seeing them flop around, like slide around on their own accord. No, like whenever the zoo attendant comes with a bucket of fish, they're always like flop, 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 and then like just like they waddle their way towards. It's so good.
I
do like me some penguins.
So there's always like this. I don't know I guess this moral debate about zoos. Like, are they really a good thing? Should we really be like endorsing zoos? But because they're taking animals out of their habitat and putting them into captivity, into environments that they're not really like built to live in. Oh, DM just glitched out of existence. Oh, there she is. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like, and I didn't do any research on this, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, or if you've just heard through the grapevine something that I don't know. But I feel like nowadays, I think zoos are a lot more careful about which animals that they have, and they're generally like if they're rescue.
Yeah,
right?
that's more recent from what I've seen. Like, at least in North America, I can't speak for other countries, but I know in like North America, a lot of the times the animals that are there now are ones that have some kind of something that prevents them from having a normal life out in the wild, whether it was because they didn't grow up in an environment where they could know how to live on their own. And yeah.
or repopulation, if the species is dwindling and they're trying to encourage like the right environment for mating.
Yeah.
Because I know my local zoo actually had to remove, I think, elephants from their zoo because they realized that was not the right climate for them. So they transferred them to a different zoo in another part of the country where the climate was more like what they were used to. So it was for the animals' health, which I really respected. Like, I was like, it's good that you did that. But then it also made me think, like, well, how long were these poor things in a climate that wasn't for them, you know?
Yeah.
But
I've
I think
also
the
heard
times are
here and there
changing.
they would talk about how, like, oh, because these ones were born at the zoo. This is all they've ever known. They don't have that same, wild instinct that like wild born animals would have. So like they would have a harder time surviving out there when they're already accustomed to the lifestyle in here, kind of thing. Which, I mean, again, could be a question of morality and ethics. Like, well, then they shouldn't have been born here to begin with. They should have been born in the wild, da 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 da. But I mean, like, it's already born, it already exists, and if it has an easier time existing in the zoo, and they're doing their part to keep it comfortable, then
We could just do it PETA style, which
What
is
is-
kill the animals that are living in captivity.
Oh, that's what they do?
That is what they've done for some things. They were these in the mentality of these conditions are horrible for these animals. We should just eliminate them.
But their whole thing is against animal violence.
It's against animal. It's against animals living in a cruel situation. So if you remove the animal, then it's solved.
I'm sure not every member of PETA has the exact same mindset. I'm not going to do
PETA's scary.
blanket statements or anything.
Yeah.
I've heard some horror stories from some more enthusiastic.
There have been like news reports from like PETA endorsed stuff, so it's kind of like spooks.
I've heard some would literally like break into homes to like nab people's pets and then like euthanize them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like hopping over fences, going through windows, just to like grab the dog, run, and then just like, and then by the time the owner finds the pet is gone.
Bro, that's so messed up. What?
Again, that's not a blanket statement. I'm sure there are also members of PETA that aren't that extreme, but I mean, we've seen it in the news. It has happened, so I mean, we talk about it.
Oh, Lord. Sheesh.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah. Although going back to your point, Kai, about the idea of like, well, these animals that are born in sheltered environments and not necessarily out in the wild, we see a lot of that kind of problem with like exotic pets. Where kids beg and beg and beg for them, their parents finally get them like a tarantula or some sort of snake, and then after a while it's like, oh, I don't want it anymore. They either like lose interest or they stop taking care of it, and they just put it in their local park.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they think it's an exotic animal.
Rabbits.
Yeah.
I hear rabbits get that a lot for Easter.
That happens a
that's
lot to
actually-
snakes.
The city I've moved to has a massive rabbit problem because of that.
That's awful.
There are bunnies everywhere,
and they don't
rabbits,
know what to
breed
do.
like rabbits,
Yeah, but these aren't like, rabbits or animals or whatever animal that it is was not born in the wild. It does not have the natural survival instinct. So like, I watched a video. I think it was probably last year, and I don't know how I stumbled upon it because I certainly wasn't looking for it. But it was this. I think it was in Florida. This couple, who owns like a their own veterinary clinic, and there were reports coming in of a snake that was found in a local park, just hiding under a tree. And this poor snake was just somebody's pet and was abandoned there. And this poor snake had no idea what to do. It was like if you leave a child in the park and they're like, all right, mom, like, what do I do now? Like, how do I fend for myself? How do I take shelter? What do I do? So this poor snake was just like covered in mites and anything. So they nursed her back to health, but like you could even tell when they were handling her, like she was just the sweetest thing, just a nice, gentle temperament, like very trusting, very lovable. But like to think that they just left her outside just because they're like, she's a snake, she'll know what to do.
Yeah.
That's just never it. Like you have to teach, just like with any human. And it's so sad. But I'm sorry this took a really dark turn after a really pleasant question. So do you guys prefer...
I do know in some areas that like I think in some countries, and well, even in North America, like at least for aquariums and such, there's been questions called into the treatment of the animals there.
Oh yeah, like SeaWorld and things like
Yup.
that about their aquatic creatures. Do
Well,
you
as far
guys?
as my local zoo goes, they're pretty nice.
Good. That's good. Do you guys have a preference between zoo or aquarium?
I like going to the zoos more.
Kai?
I don't really go enough to either to have much of a preference. They're both fine. They're both fun.
What
When I
about
go
like as a
as an
concept?
As a concept,
Yeah. Just like mentally, like if you think, okay, today I'm gonna go to the zoo versus today I'm gonna go to the aquarium, which one do you get more excited for?
about the same, to be honest with you.
Really? What
Yes.
about you,
did-
DM?
I get disappointed every time I go to the aquarium because there's usually so many people that have their faces pressed up against the glass, being loud, taking videos with the flash and various. It's just like I just get frustrated with people. Whereas the zoo, it's usually widespread enough that you can go find like a quiet area where there's not people, and kind of enjoy it.
That's a good point. Especially because like zoos are more outdoorsy. So
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, to me, it's kind of comparing apples and oranges. Like, one's very outdoorsy. You get to enjoy the good weather. If you're in the mood for something, the sights, the smells, it smells very, very wild at the zoo. Like, you
Yeah.
get all the animal smells. And it's like, it gets hot. You're walking around. It's crowded. The sun, etc., etc. Unless you go on a cloudy day. But you go for a completely different experience with the zoo. With the aquarium. It's like, it's indoors, usually air conditioned. Everything's very blue. It's a very cool color, synesthesia wise. Like, I'm going there to cool off, whereas I would go to the zoo and get a more outdoorsy experience, like DM said. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
if I'm feeling already very hot that day and I want to cool off, I'd want to go to aquarium. But if it's kind of like, oh, the weather's nice, I'm feeling great, let's go to the zoo kind of thing.
Oh, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good thing is they could have penguins in either or.
That's true.
Yes,
Yeah. You'll get penguins in both.
Exactly. Listen, my bias is always present. So.
Always got to go for those penguins. Doesn't matter where.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think mentally, even though I've been to the zoo more times than I probably have to an aquarium, I think I've only been to the aquarium once. But mentally, like as a concept, or even just like as a trope, I guess, I like the idea of an aquarium more. Even though, like DM said, like there's probably a little bit more like sus activity in terms of like care of their, especially larger aquatic creatures. I love the idea of seeing sharks, different kinds of fish, the jellyfish, the starfish, obviously the penguins. Seals, otters. I don't think I've been to an aquarium that has a whale shark. So that's my dream eventually. Whether it's in the wild or I just need to see a whale shark. That's really my goal here. They're super cute.
I mean, the last time I went to an aquarium was when another VTuber friend, when Sudan came to visit. We went to the aquarium together.
Apparently, if you go to Georgia, there's a whale shark in there.
I gotta go all the way to Georgia for a whale shark. Sheesh.
That's the only
Wow.
that's the only whale shark in North America.
Bro.
Wow.
Guess I gotta go to Georgia.
Georgia whale shark.
Dang. The lengths and breadths I'll go for a whale shark.
Yep.
I'll do it. Don't tempt me. What? You seem like you just came across bad news.
There's controversy regarding having a whale shark inside an aquarium.
Understandable.
Well, I mean,
Unless if it's for rescue purposes, but I think for aquariums and for aquatic establishments, that's much less likely than in zoos nowadays.
Yeah.
So maybe I should be putting my services towards zoos more. But I think just, like, I don't know, like that cute little, like, first date, like in a manga or an anime, they're like, they young love, and they're like, oh, want to go to the aquarium. Like, I just think that's so cute. So, I don't know.
I'm just gonna say maybe Harune shouldn't Google Georgia whale shark.
Oh, okay. Maybe I won't go to Georgia.
Okay.
Is the whale shark okay?
I'm sure
okay,
they're
huh?
in better places now.
Oh no.
The first 4 results are all just like, Trixie the whale shark dies. Alice, the longest tenured whale shark in Georgia, has died.
No.
It's like every link is a report of a whale shark that has passed on, and they're like,
I don't want to hear it. No.
Surrounded by an incredibly dedicated team that cared for her every day. Unfortunately, Alice's condition worsened and had to be euthanized. It looks like they still have.
They cremated the shark. Don't worry.
It looks like they still have whale sharks, but I'm just saying the Google result. The Google result is like, ooh, they're not pulling any punches.
Oh no! They just need to let you know that these whale sharks are dropping like flies. Oh, I'm so sad.
Oh, it's okay. Their other 3 sharks are okay.
Yeah,
but are they treated well?
Trixie,
they're
Trixie
in an aquarium.
Trixie and Alice have swam on to bluer waters, but
God. They crossed over the Rainbow Bridge.
Yup.
They got first in Mario Kart.
Stop it!
So Kai, what's your topic?
Yeah, let's go on to happier things.
Well,
your topic is morbid, isn't it?
No, it's not morbid. It's not morbid. Originally, I wanted to talk about recent happenings, just because I really wanted to hear DM get excited over the topic. But since DM's unlimited time, I don't know if we'll have the time to talk.
You totally can.
Just do it now.
We just can't. We can't go talk about animal health because that'll
let's
derail.
talk about worlds. Let's get excited about worlds.
Worlds. So by the time people have heard this is far past Worlds, but as of recording, League of Legends Worlds just ended last night.
Ended yesterday, yes. I am admittedly like a very light dabbler in League of Legends. Like I've played a couple games here and there. DM's seen me play. I'm not good by any stretch of the imagination. But it's like every year when Worlds rolls around, I'm like blown away by just like the production quality, like the general hype around it. It's like watching the Super Bowl. It's like watching the Grey Cup. It's like watching,
yeah, that's essentially it's the Super Bowl of esports.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Like I get excited for the Super Bowl too. Like the one game, which is why I guess this is kind of like League. It's like, oh, I'm kind of like, mid enthusiasm throughout the year. And then when Worlds rolls around, I'm suddenly like, oh my goodness.
Oh, that's me for the World Cup, yeah.
I really wish I could be like super invested in this, but I know that the moment I do, that's gonna be my whole life. Like if I dedicate myself to this topic, I'm gonna be a sweaty League player. That's it.
Well, see, there are people that just appreciate the esports itself, kind of like just like regular like Super Bowl. Like most of the fans of the Super Bowl aren't out playing football every weekend,
That is true. That is true. But it's like there's so much you need to know.
Not so much. I would say like the overall general understanding, it's kind of like watching a sports game when you have knowledge of strategy
but
versus
not player
just
stats.
Yeah, but also having like if you like for example, if I go to a hockey game, I like watching hockey. I honestly don't know too much about what some of the strategies are a lot of the player history. I just like watching the game.
I love watching them fight.
Yeah.
And the game.
And the game. But like with hockey even, the puck moves so fast sometimes that you have no idea where stuff went until you hear the whistle, right?
Right.
So I think League of Legends esports is kind of similar. It's color coded. You have the red team and the blue team.
Right. And you get the general idea that they're just trying to push into the enemy base.
Yeah, they're trying to take the enemy base and they want to fight and eliminate people, right?
Exactly. I know there's like mini objectives here and there too, like Baron, like Drakes, etc.
Yeah.
Literally, the only reason I knew that Worlds happened was because I woke up this morning, I opened Twitter, and the first tweet I saw was Giddy saying, the purple guy stole the purple thing. And I'm like, oh, it's Worlds.
Yes.
That's my level of comprehension.
But
of
the other
things
thing
happening.
with, just to give you an idea, Harune, of how like big Worlds is, yesterday when it was streamed, so they streamed it on YouTube and they also streamed it on Twitch.
Okay.
Twitch viewership was almost at 1 million concurrent viewers.
Whoa!
Mm-hmm.
1 million.
Yeah, so it is probably one of the largest like viewership esports, and this year usually with sports journalism in general, they try to find some kind of a narrative, like, oh, these two guys are from the same hometown, these two guys are from the same thing, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna let DM carry this because like she's gonna be able to tell this story much better than me.
So the exciting time this time was between T1 and DRX. Those were the two final teams. Okay. T1 has a player on the team called Faker.
Okay.
And Faker's name is spoken very often across any esports as being one of the best players ever. He has 3 Worlds trophies under his belt.
Sheesh.
He's been playing for a while. So every year, Riot Games, maker of League of Legends, makes this hype video leading up to Worlds. And it's an animated video, music video usually, featuring strong people.
Okay.
And Faker shows up, I think, in almost every single one of them. Because he is that iconic, he's that strong, he is known for being that good.
It's kind of like if you're talking about hockey, like even if someone barely knows anything about hockey, if you say Wayne Gretzky, they'll be like, oh, the hockey guy. Or like if they say like Michael Jordan, they're like, oh, the basketball guy. Like they'll
Faker.
know. Faker's
the gamer guy?
Yep, Faker's the gamer guy.
Specifically League, but yeah.
For League, yeah. So Faker's on T1, and for the first time in like, oh gosh, for the first time in a while, T1 got to the finals again. So this was the opportunity for Faker, who is nearing the end of his esports career, it appears, because as like esports, the older you get, the less likely you are to continue playing, because you tend to lose that reaction speed that younger people have when it comes to gaming and the micromanagement and such. So this was like the last chance to get his 4th trophy and show the world like, yeah, Faker's still here kind of thing, right? And then the other team, DRX, had not... They had 0 chances. Nobody thought that they would make it to the finals. They weren't even supposed to get into Worlds, but another team, due to COVID, I believe, had to do a bye, and they managed to get in.
They had to do a bye?
Yeah, so the team couldn't participate.
Oh.
So DRX was the next slot. I believe.
Oops.
So DRX got in with that. And then DRX proceeded to beat Gen G, which is another team that's extremely strong, and a whole bunch of other teams, and have this wild underdog story. Now, one of the players on DRX is named Deft. Deft went to high school with Faker.
Oh.
They are on opposing teams. Faker has won Worlds 3 times. Deft has not gotten to Worlds final stage ever.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure there's a lot of like, you know,
So
who to
it's
root
the
for.
It's the underdog story versus like the master kind of thing, and just like crazy story. And then the other thing on DRX, their jungler, which there's 5 roles in League, and their jungler is this kind of no-name guy. He was a Twitch streamer that specialized in one character named Pyoshik, and he's kind of memed on a bit because he played just one character really most of the time.
Like a one-trick pony kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of a one-trick pony kind of guy, but was excellent at it. And one of the jokes going around is that he wanted Riot to make a skin for his character, and he's like, how do I get them to do that? And they're like, oh, become pro, and then win the Worlds, and then you get to customize a skin. Because that's what the winning team, that's one of the things that they get to do.
He was like, okay, I guess I'll do that then.
Yeah, which is kind of like, everyone's like, oh my god, yeah, good Chad Pyoshik. But pretty much, so last night was the Worlds Games.
Okay.
And there's a lot of like big music, big news and stuff, and the
opening concerts are wild. The last
like they had Lil Nas X did the theme song for Worlds this year.
That name sounds familiar.
He's a musician, and
Okay.
he's pretty popular in the mainstream.
And Every time I play TFT, he's singing to me from the client.
So he did the world's theme song and collaborated with them to design one of the outfits for one of the new characters that just came out in the game. But like big fanfare, lots of people watching, over like 1 million people plus watching worldwide to watch Worlds, and it was DRX versus T1. DRX at the start of it, so you can with the League of Legends client. They want people to be involved with like watching their esports. So you can do pick'ems and choose like, oh, I think this team is going to win. If you're correct, you get points that go towards rewards for your League of Legends account.
Ooh.
So I did my pick'ems because I was like, you know what? I love an underdog story. Faker is really cool. I think he's an amazing gamer, but he's on T1 and I like underdogs. So my pick'ems, I chose DRX to win. Of the pick'ems, you get to see what the percentages of choice. Only like 16.5% of people chose DRX.
Really? Well, I guess because
else was like T1's gonna stomp.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about like the circumstances around DRX's even getting into it.
Yep. Which is why people said it's gonna be a one-sided stomp. Right. Is what people were calling it's gonna be, because it's best of 3 for the games. And people were calling, it's going to be 3-0. T1 is just going to grind these guys into the ground. And the very first game of Worlds last night looked that way. Like, DRX had quite a few misplays. They had a bunch of stuff sniped from them. They couldn't come up to bat, and they lost the first map. So everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's going to be 3-0 T1. Then the second map happens. DRX wins. Ooh. And all the fights are messy. Like, it's none of this perfect play expertise of the teams. You're watching and you're like, I have no idea which team is going to win this team fight.
Ooh, that's so good.
So it's 1-1. And so people are going, okay, yeah, 3-1. T1 is going to win. Next map goes, T1 wins it. So now we're 2-1. And they're like, yep, 3-1. Next map goes, DRX wins it.
Oh no, so it was this back and forth.
Yep, we're 2-2. Super scrappy. Everyone's like, what is going on? And then
can I just say
we get a game 5.
As little as I know about League of Legends, the only reason I picked this topic was to hear Girl DM go off like this. I'm having the time of my life listening about this.
It was so fun. I was watching on my couch, like trying not to scream because it was getting late. The game started at like 6 p.m.
I am getting hyped vicariously through you right now. It's so good.
I am getting hyped, yeah.
We get to game 5, okay? And game 5 holds a special place in the hearts of most League players because that is the distance that you can go. Is game 5 is as many games as you can get. And there were so many people that were like, please let us get a game 5 this Worlds because that would be amazing. We get a game 5.
It's like game 7 for basketball, isn't it? Or something like
that. I'm not sure with other sports. I know League at least. But like game 5 was so close and so messy. So in League, there are different neutral buffs that a team can claim, which involves fighting kind of a boss monster that spawns on the map.
Right.
So it's a neutral one, but it gives you a bonus.
Okay.
So
whichever team gets the bonus gets exactly.
You get a buff. You get a buff on your team. So there are dragons, which give you a permanent buff. And then there is Baron, which gives you a timed buff. And the first team that gets 4 dragons killed gets a buff that's called the Dragon Soul, which is kind of like a chonkier buff version of the other ones. So DRX gets, I think they got Baron, they got Baron stolen from them. And their base is being pushed in by the enemy, by T1. But they managed to get Dragon Soul, which gives them a bit more of a buff. Fights are still like, it's anyone's game. We can't figure out like where things are happening. But after the 4th dragon is killed for a team, the next dragon that spawns is the Elder Drake. And the Elder Drake gives you an execute buff, which the way that works in League is once somebody hits a certain amount of HP, they will die instantly.
Oh.
But it's a low amount. It's like, I think it's like 10% or 15% of their HP, so you still have to chonk them down a bit.
Right, so you don't have to bring them to 0, just bring them down to 10, and that's like it's a kill.
Yeah, but that's a high priority dragon buff to get, but the Elder Dragon is stronger than the standard dragons. It takes quite a bit more damage to take it out. So usually there's a massive fight that will happen. And most of the time with professional esports games, the game doesn't go long enough for Elder to even come up. Usually the game is over before the Elder Dragon becomes a point of contention. Every now and again it'll happen, but usually the game's over before then. So the fact that we're on game 5, we get to Elder Drake, and there's a massive team fight, and DRX comes out on top.
Oh, go get him!
But while this fight is happening, and they do this, one of the members of T1, no, I think two members of T1 are in DRX's base trying to beat their base crystal, because if T1 beats that, it doesn't matter if the team has Elder Dragon for DRX, they would lose.
The win condition is just to take
the crystal, right? So DRX takes out the other members of T1 that are at the Dragon Pit. They return back to their base and manage to eliminate the T1 gamers that are on their base, and then they push all the way into the enemy base and win.
Oh my gosh, they won!
Literally, go back to the goal, scoop the ball out from the goal, and then go all the way.
Wow, what a great game!
Yeah,
that must have been so fun.
It was insanely hype to watch, because one person would get caught out and get killed, and it would be like anyone's game. They'd be like, oh no, they're down, but then the team that was down would turn it around and they wouldn't be down anymore. And it was just like, what's going on? And it was just it was so good to see the playthrough. And of course, a lot of people were cheering for T1, but Deft got to go up and they gave him the microphone, and it was his first time winning worlds. I think it was last year. I think he got to semifinals. But
from what I saw, I think it said he was competing for 10 years, and
10 years, and he had never gotten to the stage. And he's standing there holding the mic, and the whole audience is shouting his name.
Aww.
And he started crying up on the stage there, and he was just like, oh my god.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I'm sure, I think with a game like that, where it's sure, it was scrappy, maybe it was messy, but I think that must have been, the most fun either team has had in a while. You know what I mean?
It was super, for people watching, it was so fun.
I'm sure both teams, whoever was going to win or whoever was going to lose, if after matches like that, I think they would have been able to walk away feeling very satisfied, you know?
I don't know. Usually, so there were definite points on both teams where people made very clear mistakes.
Mm-hmm. They aren't graded on a point system, are they?
They're not, but it's kind of when you're doing something and you realize that you made a mistake. And realizing that might have cost your entire team.
It's kind of if you shoot at a net without a goalie and still miss, kind of thing.
Ooh, yeah. You don't feel good about that, but
no. So it was definitely really, really scrappy, which is fun to watch because a lot of people are used to seeing just this finessing of the fighting. When this time it was nope,
just all in the mud here.
Yup, it was just messy. It was all over the place. It was people just doing whatever they could to get damage out before they died to help their team. It was very fun.
Well, I hope T1 was able to walk away or even just wake up this morning and feel sure, I made mistakes, but I gave it my all and it was a really fun final match. I hope, at least. I know it can, especially with so much on the line, you can feel they say the same thing about Olympics medalists, where the bronze medalists are the happiest. The silver is the most disappointed.
To get in, yeah.
Right, the silver is the most disappointed, and then the gold is obviously happy but also exhausted. But they say the bronze medalists are always the ones who are cheering the hardest, they're the happiest because like you said, they just weren't expecting to even get on the podium.
Yeah.
They were just doing their best, and that was sort of what they got out of it.
Man, this always happens. It's the world's effect. Like, this makes me want to play League of Legends. And then I know every other fiber of my being is saying, no, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to have a bad time. As soon as the game starts, I'm just like, oh, I'm completely overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean, that's always how it'll start.
League is very cool.
It is. I'm just incredibly intimidated by it because everyone I know that's super into it is super into it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad asking them to be like...
There's over 160 playable characters now.
That's a lot.
I understand, I think, 6 of them. To an average degree.
The timing and everything is just, like... Yeah, it's neat.
Like, the whole... There's layers and layers of decisions, like, oh, is the enemy team AP? Is it AD? What should I build? Da-da-da-da-da. There's so much to learn that I feel like I require training wheels. I need somebody who's experienced to kind of walk me through the thought process so that I know how to make my own decisions. But I'm way too intimidated to ask someone who knows how to play to, like... bring themselves down to my level to teach me how to play.
No, I don't think that's true. I think most of the time people are very excited to share what they're passionate about with someone else. So they're going to be doing their best to make sure that you understand it enough so that, like, eventually you guys could game together. Like, I don't know. All the people who play League, like, around me have always tried to get me into League. And I'm like, no, I will never. Like, the most I will do is watch a match or watch you play, but I will never get into it.
I played a game of ARAMs recently. Was that with you, Dan? When we played ARAMs?
I don't know about recently. It probably was like 4 months ago.
Yeah, like a couple months ago. To me, so listen, to me, that's recent. Okay, when it comes to League. But yeah, literally, it was like all I could do was kind of like take orders. I needed somebody to help me with decisions because I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to react to, kind of thing.
What to prioritize.
So they'd be like, oh, like, you want to focus down here. Then I'm like, okay, then I knew to, like, where to focus in on, kind of thing. And I knew vaguely what to do, kind of thing. But that's kind of what I needed. Like, there's another streamer, Tacos, who basically is kind of like a high-level player as well. He one-tricks, like, a certain character named Jin. And I tried to approach him and, like, ask him for some pointers, but he, you know, is so hyper specialized on Jin that it's kind of like I don't really know if his advice was able to help me. Like,
that's fair.
In other roles, he could. I'm sure he could teach me how to play Jin, but
that's fair. Yeah, I think maybe that's how I feel too. Is that it's just there's just so much. And I don't have the mental or emotional or just in general any sort of capacity to learn about this game beyond enjoying a match from time to time. I think I watched Worlds, it must have been a couple years ago. I watched Worlds. That was really fun. But even like some of the moments where like my friends were like, oh my God, look at this. Like, look at this moment unfolding. And I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, I still don't understand. Like, someone has to explain it to me. So,
you're cheering because everyone else is cheering. You don't know what you're cheering for.
I have no idea. I mean, I couldn't even cheer. I didn't even know what I was cheering for. So I didn't cheer. I just sat there and I was like,
the other
someone
problem
talk to me?
That, like, just how long the games could go. Like,
oh
if
my
it's
God,
a stomp,
yeah.
Like, usually if it's a stomp, it's still a 15-minute game because people forfeit at 15. That's the
you have 15 minutes before. But a normal, like, the games that happened last night, right? It started, like, I think the actual games started at, like... Because it was delayed 1 hour, so they started the games at like kind of 6 p.m.-ish. And it wasn't finished until after midnight.
Oh my
and that was for 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, that's for 5 rounds. Like, for even if you only want to play like 1 round casually, usually the rule of thumb is to set aside at least an hour.
Yeah.
Lordy.
Exactly. So, like, with our schedules being as tight as it is, as busy as it is, kind of thing, like, I've kind of grown a bit more of an appreciation for kind of competitive games that are shorter, that you could finish, within 30 minutes, within 20 minutes, kind of thing. TFT generally doesn't last longer than 20-something minutes. What was the other one that we were just playing? The Omega Strikers. Omega Striker games last maybe 5-6 minutes.
Oh.
So it's kind of like you got to go in, you have a bit of fun. Oh, you lose, you try again. In half an hour, you could go through 6-7 games, kind of thing. So it's like the you know, the results are immediate. Like you get the immediate gratification kind of thing. Whereas for League, I'd have to, set aside an hour uninterrupted.
That being said, though, I think the whole, like, working for something for a long period of time is better for the brain than immediate gratification. Like, that's like the big thing about, like, what a lot of people will talk about is negative about using phones and social media is that, like, there is this rush of serotonin when you are checking like your Facebook or your Twitter or your Instagram, and that quick delay that they have when you open up the app, and then there's that like sort of brief like 5 to 10 second loading period where they're like, okay, now we've updated your feed and we've updated if you have any like tweets that are adding you or any responses or any messages or anything like that. There's a slight delay, and that's supposed to like there's a whole like scientific like mental sort of game that they play with you that gets you hooked on like, I need to keep checking, I need to keep updating, because it's like playing slots almost. So the whole like, yes, our schedules are packed, so it's hard to fit in time for an hour-long game of League, but I think like at the end of the day that's probably better for you, because then that teaches you like, hey, if I want, like, I have to work at something for a longer period of time for something gratifying. But I know like that's a different story than what you're talking about, Kai.
You're essentially honing, when it comes to like a game like League, you're essentially, instead of taking the focus of learning to play a game, you're honing a skill.
Exactly.
Right. So just like anything else, whether it's like learning an instrument, learning a language, learning a craft, like that all involves long periods of uninterrupted time spent on this task.
And a lot of frustration and heartache, and then there's other people that are mean to you. So it kind of comes down to it comes down to is it worth it to you to learn to play it? Because if it's not, then like ARAMs are completely fine, because ARAM's everybody running their face into each other and they don't really know. ARAM is a game mode in League that's called all random, all mid. So you're given a random character from your character pool that you own, and then everybody is together in one lane. You don't have to worry about like people popping out of one side or your teammates winning on their side. It's everybody's in the middle together, and you're just running your faces at each other to try to win. That's it's a lot faster of a mode usually.
Right.
It can go long though.
TFT is kind of like my kind of like coping of wanting to be with League and not actually playing League.
Yeah, which I think that's completely fine.
Exactly. It's in the same universe. It's all the same characters, but it's auto chess. So it's like a completely different play style. It's kind of like playing fantasy football instead of actual football.
Yeah,
it's terrible comparison.
It's how you get involved in the world without actually having to know how to play football.
Fantasy football is like not even anywhere near football.
Like, TFT is nowhere near
exactly the same. TFT is nowhere near. TFT, you have the characters and you put them on a board and they fight each other.
It's kind of like knowing how to play the Pokemon games on a console versus just collecting Pokemon cards without knowing how to play the game. It's the same universe. It's the same characters. Yeah. It's the same, everything. It's just a completely different avenue of enjoying it.
That's hilarious. Yeah. And I love it. That's great.
Yeah. So I do quite enjoy TFT. It is at a level where I can mentally process what's going on and I can understand synergies and stuff. But otherwise, like, I also can't stream League because, like, I see all these other League streamers. They're like, oh, stream for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours because that's how long the games run. Like, and they're like super high level, super competitive, super salty. Everyone's yelling at each other. I can't do that. All I do is lock in Sona and then mute all. I don't want to hear anyone.
Sona.
Just let me play my little songs in the corner and I'm happy.
So you prefer support?
I'm not good at skill shots. Sona doesn't require skill shots. So.
Well, that's the thing, though, because like with the one of the things that makes League so attractive is that there's champions with play styles that match like everybody's play style. So like the character I play doesn't really do skill shots either.
You play Malzahar.
Malzahar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the way that he works is you have a disease that you put, and it does some damage over time. And if it kills the target it's on, the disease jumps to the next target.
Oh, how fun.
So you don't have to, you point and click on the target to put the disease on them. Then casting your disease gives you an additional charge of you summon little voidlings, which are little spider looking monsters that'll prioritize anything that's got the disease on it.
Ooh, how fun.
You do the disease, you summon your kids, they attack the thing with the disease, you stand back and you go, okay, it'll die.
You summon your kids. Children, en masse, go.
Pretty much, that's what I do. And then his ultimate ability isn't a skill shot either. You just have to be close enough, and then you click on them and go boop, and then it just holds them down, and the rest of your team can attack them.
Exactly. Like I'm just not really good at aiming, and I'm not really good at like reacting to fast, zippy movements. So anyone that teleports isn't really my kind of thing. Like all the characters I play are very simple. You just hit people, or you have like something around you that just hits everything around you. Like, I don't have to aim anything. Like Sona, I played a little bit of Master Yi, and when I top, it's always Mordekaiser or Susan. Like the ones that just smack people.
Yep. So some of them you just like smack people. Some of them you have skill shots that you have to aim like across the map and stuff. But they have a whole bunch of different play styles for everyone, which is something that I appreciate a lot.
So I can dabble a little bit. I can dabble a little bit off stream. I'm probably going to play a little bit tonight. Like now that I'm in the mood for League. But I'm gonna go in. People are gonna yell at me. I'm gonna cry, and then I'll quit. And the cycle.
And that's your League for the year.
Exactly.
Yep,
next year at Worlds, I'll get hyped again.
Well, the thing is, Kai, is that's not an uncommon sentiment because there's a lot of people, because like Overwatch League just had their finals as well. And a lot of people are like, I'm so hyped. Then they play 2 games and go, I hate this game.
Yep.
Because it's important to remember that the esports side isn't the same as the casual gameplay side.
Right. It's their career to play this game.
And they're going to play with a lot more skill and dignity than what you'll generally encounter.
Exactly. And
that's a good point.
They live in houses with their teams. They're a unit of 5 moving together.
Wait, they live together?
There are training houses.
They have training houses that they like work together for like doing group trainings and such. Yep.
What?
Yep. That's very much a thing in Korea. I think in America too. There's
in America as well. Yeah. Like I think even with sports and stuff too, when there's like games happening, they'll have group housing.
Yeah.
So that all the players can be on the same schedule together, right?
It's like they're playing a completely different league than we are. They're moving as a unit. I mean, like DM has a large pool of friends to play with, kind of because like she plays League. I don't, so usually it's just me and 4 randos, and then like 20 minutes into the game, like Johnny Thundernuts is going to start yelling at me, and I'm just like, I don't want to be here anymore. But if girl DM yells at me, I can get it because I know her. But if just some rando starts telling me I'm a bad Sona, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. Well, part of it also because like with playing online games, like any competitive environment, you're gonna have people that take it just way too seriously at times. So, which I think part of being able to enjoy competitive games is to
having people to enjoy it with.
Well, having people to enjoy it with, but also learning how your own method of coping with when you do have those unsportsmanlike teammates that show up. Because like one of my friends, their method of doing it, because they have a very feminine voice. Their method of doing it is they would just unmute their mic and moan heavily into the microphone, because that would make whoever was trying to talk crap really, really uncomfortable. And then if the person continued, she'd just continue to moan over them louder and louder.
Wow.
That is until they very bold.
And then they would continue to be very bold. But that's not my like method of it. But for me at least, like I'll just stay silent if it's somebody on the enemy team who's trying to give me crap, and then if we win, I will use the same words that they used on me. At the end of it, just to be like, all right.
See how you like it, you jerk.
Yep. But it's just like finding out how if you still have, after you figure out your own method of compensating for those things, if you're still enjoying it.
I really don't like the idea of letting teammates down in a competitive setting, like, which is why TFT fits me better, because it's like an 8-way free-for-all. Like, the only person my failure affects is me. So if somebody takes my units and screw me over, I can get mad at them, and if I fail, I can still get mad at them. But when I fail, I won't be disappointing my fellow teammates, kind of thing, and then they won't yell at me. There's no one there to yell at me.
Yeah, I get you. I don't know. With competitive games, you'll get yelled at even if you're playing as perfectly as possible, because people won't realize that they are at fault as well.
Yeah, right. I think group sports also involve self-reflection.
Yeah, so I think also, like, anytime people are like, oh, you threw the game for us, blah, 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 or you're so bad at the game, I usually just go, you're in the same match as me. The game has determined that your skill level is the same as mine.
Right.
So it's also coming to terms of, like, having that mentality. There's a hockey player quote that I like to refer back to.
Yay, hockey.
Yep, which it's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
Yeah, it's only a game.
To be mad?
Why do you have to be mad?
Why you have to be mad? Which is actually in Overwatch, they have it so one of the characters has that as a voice line that you can equip.
Oh, yes.
Was it Zarya?
Zarya? Yeah, Zarya has it. It's only a game. Why you have to be mad? So, like, having a healthy mentality for it and knowing when to stop playing. Like, if you're not having fun playing the game, it's okay to stop.
Right.
But also, I think part of learning how to play the game is knowing that you're going to let your team down and being okay with that, because odds are sometime when you get into a game and you're doing really damn well in your game and you realize one of the people on your team has no idea how to play the character they're playing, like, if that happens to me, I'm not going to be mad.
Right, you'd want to help them.
I'm just going to be like, okay, now if we're playing a competitive match, and it's for, like, competitive points, and the person goes, it's my first time playing this character, then I'll be like, you know what? Maybe don't do that in the competitive ranked mode where you get, like, fancy points for winning. Just do it in casual mode. If it's in casual and somebody is absolutely throwing their brains out because they can't figure out how to play their character, I won't be mad at them at all. It will be
if you're an Ash at level 2 trying to tower dive and you die in unranked, stop getting mad at me. I'm not the one here to keep you alive.
Well, but even then, like, if there's somebody like that, just you mute them, because they're playing their own game in their own world. Right. So that's like my main thing is, like, if it's casual mode, there's no reason to get mad at anybody.
Absolutely,
ever.
Yeah.
And if they get mad at you, you just mute them and go, alrighty then, this person does not understand how to have a healthy mental when playing a game.
Yep, I only have enough sanity points for like 2-3 games a day at most, and even then, that's my
being generous.
Yeah.
Oh, I can play League for like 8 hours straight. So
I know, and I'm in one sense I'm kind of jealous of that. In the other sense, I'm so sorry for you.
Well, the main thing is if I'm still having fun, right?
If you're enjoying it, all the power to you. I
have the very lucky situation in that the friends that taught me how to play League had the very healthy mental of, even if we're losing the game, we can still win. Because one of those things would be we would change our definition of winning. Winning the game wouldn't necessarily mean we win the game traditionally. It could be we're all going to target one person on the enemy team that decided to talk crap in the chat, and they're going to die a whole bunch. We might lose the game, but it's going to be funny.
See, I wish I had a friend group like that because I was introduced to League when I was in school. And the best definition I can give of my friends when it came to League were sweaty tryhard.
Yeah.
Like, you're out of position and die once, and suddenly you're the target of the other 4 people. So it's like,
what?
And they can all take it. That's how they bounce off each other. I'm just more sensitive than them, I suppose.
But that doesn't build a conducive and, like, helpful learning environment. Like, how do they expect someone to feel compelled to get better?
I guess the 4 of them just have that right mental approach to the game. They all have that specific approach to it, like that. Like,
oh my god,
I guess
fired as a teacher. Like,
yeah, right.
I'm just mentally tuned to a different type of gaming. Like, on the flip side, I can do savage rating in Final Fantasy. They can't handle it at all. Like,
savage rating is like That is finite stuff.
And you've seen me get really upset at
I
it too.
have. Yes, I have.
But yeah, I think we're starting to stray into territory that's further and further away.
Oh yeah, League Worlds super duper hype, and it's very well done because there's just been like it's an easy enough thing to understand when you're watching it to understand the hype. Like even Geary and then one of my other friends, they were tweeting because they were like, I don't watch League, but like, or I'm watching it for the first time kind of thing, right?
And I mean, like the music, the concerts they have for the opening every year is so good. Like I still listen to Giants. I still listen to like KDA.
Yeah,
I'm gonna share some of this to Harune later, but
yeah, there's all sorts of like really cool music videos that they do, and they're very good at generating hype. About the esport.
Even if I don't really know how to play it at a high level, I can still appreciate League as a game. Riot as a company, and some people that play it, I don't know, but League as a product, I can at least appreciate what it is.
I love that. That's great. And I'm glad, I don't know, like I certainly got hype just listening to DM's retelling of it. And I mean, like, that was
exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah. And I think it's also just like, if you've got friends who are into it, you can't help but also get into it too. Like it happens when a friend is like talking very passionately about an anime or a manga that they really love, or a game that they really love.
Chainsaw Man.
I mean, my interest has definitely built for Chainsaw Man. I just have to watch it on my own time. Same with Cyberpunk.
Chainsaw Man.
I just finished Cyberpunk too, so
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, that is a show.
But yeah, wow.
Bringing it back to a realm that probably Harune is more familiar though. Harune, would you like to spit out your topic?
It's gonna be so different than the other two topics.
I mean, we went from the zoo to worlds. So.
Yeah.
So, well, worlds could be a zoo, so you know.
It is every year.
So I actually was not looking for this article. I generally don't go looking for specific articles. It's usually things that just like pop up and pique my interest. And I thought I had already had an article. Like I had an article like a few days ahead of time, and I was like, great, this is what I'm going to do. And then I was sort of perusing my phone last night, and I found a new article, and I was like, I have to do this one instead. But I'm just generating hype. It's not really all that hype. But do you remember at the start of October? So, you know, for the month of October, all of my topics have been sort of spooky related.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you remember the first article that I covered, it was discussing the burial of a young woman, like an aristocratic woman. Yeah, with the sickle around her neck and the cuff around her foot or her ankle or whatever. So
I drew the thumbnail for that, so I remember.
Yes, you did. You have always drawn the thumbnails, so
nope. DM drew the first few thumbnails.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Right, no, but I'm talking about like in season 3.
Yes.
Yeah, season 3.
Yeah. Although thank you, DM, for drawing the thumbnails in season 1 as well.
As
you've noticed, I have not drawn a single thumbnail for this.
You contributed. I took one of your doodles and made it a thumbnail.
That is as much as I will ever contribute. I am no artiste. But anyway, so this article jumped out at me, and I just had to do it. So
let's do it.
This sort of is a callback to that previous article. This is from the Jerusalem Post, and it's titled "Undead Unknown: Scientists Discover Identity of 19th Century Vampire."
Oh.
And so I read that and I was like, oh my God, like, did our mysterious female grave,
is her vampire identity revealed?
Right, yeah. Like, is this a follow-up or whatever? It's not, unfortunately, but it does, like, sort of answer some of the things that we've speculated in that episode when we talked about the female burial. So I'm just going to go through the article since I found it so last minute. I wasn't able to like write a narrative for myself, but what I'll do is I'll share the link with you guys. You can check your Discords.
And we'll try to put it in the YouTube fold.
If I remember, bug me if I don't do it. Because I'm usually the one who writes the descriptions, but if you guys really want to follow along with it and you're like, where is it? You can just let me know. So I think for this one, the images are important, which is why I shared the link with you guys. So here it says, in 1990, the body of an unknown man was dug up in Griswold, Connecticut, and it was clear to those who discovered him that something about him was unusual. So that's just sort of the hook, right? What was unusual about this gentleman was how he was buried. But unlike the young aristocratic woman who was whose body or burial was found in Poland, right? This gentleman's burial was a bit different because his bones were cut up, his body was cut up, and his remains were laid out in a cross pattern in his burial. And I feel like I do recall mentioning that in the previous episode as well, where like hers was interesting because like she had the sickle around her neck, but there were other bodies that had been exhumed that you know, they discussed the practices of cutting off their limbs and things so that if they were to return from the dead, they wouldn't have a full body to function in. You know, so this just sort of confirms that idea even further. So this is just sort of further. The man who had been dug up from his grave several years after his death and then reburied. So this man died. Several years later, they went, maybe he's not dead enough, and dug him up and then buried him again. It says this time with his head and limbs piled on top of his rib cage, forming the shape of a cross. This unusual burial technique was believed at the time to prevent vampires from rising from their graves and drinking the blood of the living. So this article is sort of split into like what sort of caused this type of burial to occur and a little bit of like how they found the identity of this man using modern technology. But I'll read a little bit about the man, what he died from, and how that could have sort of fueled the vampire panic of that time. So it says, for almost 30 years after his discovery, the identity of this man remained a mystery, and the question as to why he had been buried in this unusual way continued to go unanswered. But now the latest advanced laboratory and bioinformatic DNA analysis have been performed, and the answers are finally clear. The unknown man is John Barber, and he died of tuberculosis.
Not the TB.
Not the TB.
Doesn't TB make you cough up blood?
Yes, it does, and that's part of the superstition. So here we go. In the 19th century, as the deadly tuberculosis disease spread across the 6 states that make up New England, Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont, like the east side of the country, a ghastly rumor came with it. The families of those affected by the disease began to attribute blame to the undead, saying that those who perished from the disease would return from the afterlife to prey upon their families. And so, in a time before germ theory had been discovered, when people did not believe that an earthly cause could be attributed to such a disease, New Englanders took matters into their own hands. Villagers would dig up bodies of the recently deceased, exhuming them and reassembling them into the shape of the cross. In some cases, they would remove the internal organs from the body and burn them. According to a 2019 interview given to History.com by retired Connecticut State archaeologist Nicholas Bellatoni, I read that wrong, Bellatoni, consumptives lost weight, coughed up blood, their skin turned ashen, and sometimes died a slow death. Almost as if someone was sucking the life out of them. So that's where the whole, like... So if you had TB, those were your symptoms. Those were your visible symptoms, right? So of course you would look at this person, you go, they were completely healthy, and now day by day they grow worse. They're coughing up blood. Their skin looks ashen.
Vampires!
Exactly. Like if you think about like the description, that sounds like someone who's, you know, the most traditional visual... you know, concept of a vampire. So
right,
that really sort of like holds hands there. And I do forget that like people did not know about germs. They did not know about like how germs spread or even that germs were a thing. It was always just that either you were cursed, there was a demon, you know, you were being preyed on by something supernatural. So Yeah, and it says, and with symptoms such as jaundice and red eyes on top of all the other mentioned above, it's easy to understand how frightened villagers with none of the scientific or medical knowledge that we have today would have turned to tales of the undead for an explanation. Right? So, tales of the undead consuming the blood of living beings have been around for centuries. Paraben Nanolabs said in a statement regarding their research, before scientific and clinical knowledge were used to explain infectious diseases and medical disorders, communities hit with epidemics turned to folklore for explanations. They often blamed vampirism for the change in appearance, erratic behavior, and deaths of their friends and family who actually suffered from conditions such as, I'm not going to pronounce these correctly, porphyria, pellagra, rabies, and tuberculosis.
The TB.
The TB. Did you know that TB is still around?
Yes, I had to get tested for it.
I had a family member catch it.
Ooh.
Yeah. They now have TB, but apparently it was caught early enough that, like, it's in her system, but won't actually affect her, and I don't think other people, and people can't catch it from her.
Yeah, I don't know why when I enrolled in university, they had me get tested for TB.
Lots of people get tested for TB.
Yep.
That's I think that's standard. But
it's just kind of out of nowhere.
It seems like it's out of nowhere. I think I don't want to get too deep into vaccinations and things like that, but I think there's been more people saying no to things like that, and so old things are coming back, right? Like I feel like I heard a story like a couple years ago. Some farmer got bit by a cat, and he got the bubonic plague.
Dang.
Yep. Yeah.
I think with TB as well, that it takes a long time to treat it and cure it. So, but it's an infectious disease. So if you're going to be in like school surrounded by a bunch of people, then it does make sense to be tested for TB because like it's an infectious disease.
Right. And you're going to be around people constantly for long hours, you know. You want to be careful. But yeah, I mean, guys, if you go in for your physicals or whatever, get checked for everything. It can only come to a good thing, you know? Like, we just don't know what's out there. We don't know what we're being susceptible to nowadays. I think people are a lot less cautious now because we haven't needed to be cautious up before until the pandemic, and then we're like, oh shoot, we should wash our hands before we eat, which, like, don't even get me started on like personal hygiene. But yeah, it's wild. It's a wild world. But that was mine. That was very, very short. That was
very neat.
It was a follow-up that I wasn't even looking for, and I was very excited about it. But the other article that I was going to do, and maybe I'll save it for next time, is some of the latest findings of, I think the article was called "The Day the Dinosaurs Died," and it was some new and groundbreaking discovery of what happened when the dinosaurs went extinct.
Wow.
Or something like that. So I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I didn't actually read it yet. So
we could save that for next time.
We could, unless there's something more interesting
happens
and more recent. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh gosh, the dinosaurs came back.
Zambies. Oh my gosh, no, listen, I'm not scared of zombies. Like, I don't watch zombie movies or shows and get like freaked out at the concept. Like, I think paranormal, like ghost things scare me so much more than zombies, but there is something very frightening about the idea of like the dead actually coming back to life. I don't like that. I don't like that as a concept.
Yeah.
I'm much more accepting of ghosts, I think. Even though they scare me so much more. But yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Well, that's pretty much it. We are wrapping this one up fairly short today, so Deanne can go get her technologies.
I gotta go run and get some technology.
I love technology.
Yup.
Not as much as you see.
I do love tech a lot.
Always and forever.
I mean, to be fair though, our last episode was rather long, so I hope viewers can forgive us this time for having a bit of a shorter one.
Yeah,
if you do need to blame somebody, blame Nemurenai Kai.
Yeah,
I would love to see hate mail sent to him. I'm joking. Please don't actually send hate mail to him.
Yeah, no, don't send hate mail.
I was late.
And you can hear from his League of Legends stuff that he would literally cry. So don't do that.
He's a sensitive boy.
I admit I was late. Yeah.
I was the one who asked for the time push. That was on me.
If you weren't going to, I was going to. Like, a lot of things happened this weekend for me.
It's been a long week.
Everything happens all the time.
It's true.
But hey, we made it through. You have an episode 4?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you guys have been struggling, if somehow leading up to the end of October and all through November, because the holiday season is coming up. Like here in the States, this month is our Thanksgiving month.
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving is the 24th this year. So like starting Halloween sort of kicks off the holiday season. It's Halloween followed by Thanksgiving, then followed by Christmas and New Year's. And so that's like crunch time for a lot of like workplaces here. So I mean, it feels like the struggle is just beginning. But at the same time, we're all struggling together. We're giving each other moral support. We're here cheering you on from our little studio here at GHK. And so we're all just cheering you on. So please cheer for us too. We also need moral support. All right. So thank you guys again for joining us once again for season 3, episode 4. It's been a pleasure as always. And それでは皆さん、またね。バイバイ。